Good timing.
Perfect timing,
man. That man is a producer over there.
That's so silly. Alrighty, welcome back to the Soul Citizens. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and welcome back. We've been away for a little bit, but we are back with the team for another fun-filled day of discussion on Star Citizen, one of our favorite games. Is it your favorite game, Love Machine, or is it one of your favorite games?
Oh, it's one of my favorites. I actually really liked Kingdom Come Deliverance. It was a sleeper hit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know there was none of us in that game. You realize that, right?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a single player. I love games that aren't in the modern setting. They're either way future or medieval. I don't care to simulate the modern times. It's too much. It's too real.
That's cool. Well, the Euro half of you is creeping out, so that's okay. We'll let you play it. So it's all right. Gomab, what's up, my brother? How you been, man?
Good. I'm good, man.
Yeah, everything's all right.
Everything's good.
Good to have you back.
Weekend.
Yeah, you've been gone, man. You've been traveling and doing weddings and all types of stuff, and you're finally back with the team. So we're glad to have you back, man.
Glad to be back.
Yeah. And last but not least, Mr. Yes, I'm proud of my state, Florida, and all of our sports that we've been winning. Kelosal. Brother, where you get them headphones? You know what? Listen, Love, doesn't he look like he's some type of sports commentator with them big headphones on his head? He looked like he's sports commentating the game or something, doesn't he? I don't know.
It could be an homage to all the Florida commentators out there watching the Tampa teams win championships. Way to go, Lightning.
1996.
Boy.
Back in the Stanley Cup, defending our title. We hope to bring it home after in the next week and a half. So watch the game, Tampa against Montreal. Go Lightning here and now.
Thank you for your TED Talk.
Talk about Chip.
Oh my God. Water Woman H2O says they're a FSFU fan in the house. Oh my God.
She went to Florida University.
Oh God. Ooh, there's a shot. Oh, there you go.
Well, I mean, if you want to say that about UF, that's fine, but go Noles.
No, go Noles.
Wow. Okay. And Love, it's good to see you too. Hey, was there something going on the other day? I saw Jade or one of you guys posted something about esports. Was it yesterday or day before? Was something going on?
Oh yeah, yesterday Amo Esports at a casual event, Tonk of War. They got 12 tonks to go across the countryside in Daymar in a race to survive, and the Rec Raiders play second, third, and fourth, and Kuroda Ritsu Racing Team, they're always at the Atmo races and stuff. They took the cake.
Okay.
They were driving full speed ahead backwards the entire time. The pro tank strategy, that's how you climb the mountains. If you flip that thing, if you go full speed ahead backwards, the tanks can go over mountains, and it's a real finessing strategy. So shout out to them. We see them all the time. Saki-sama, Kuroda Ritsu. Yeah.
Wow, there's a little secret technique. I didn't know about that one. Wow. Okay, Rec Raiders. All right, you said second, third, and fourth place?
Yeah, we had 3 teams.
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
We took three tonks out there, and Cyberpunk, our president, kind of stole the show because he had the original tank skin from the original concept.
Okay.
The Badland skin, I think it's called, that actually looks like the muted sand color.
Okay.
So there's lots of pictures and visuals they got of that, and so he's the only one that had that skin, and
nice.
They made it pretty far. I kept tipping the thing over. I'm not allowed to drive anymore. For real.
For certain reasons,
it was bad.
Wow.
It was bad. But it was fun. It was fun.
All right. Well, listen, Fist to Face Gaming, thank you for the resub with Prime, good old Amazon Prime. We appreciate that as always. Deaf Child, thank you for the follow. And Southern Cross, thank you for the follow too. Welcome. If it's your first time with us, we appreciate you all being here. We've got a really cool show today. We're taking on a subject that you don't hear too many people talk about. And that's going to be the Hull series, particularly the Hull D and E. There's been a lot of anticipation on the Hull C. We've seen that the Hull A has been added to the roadmap for first quarter of next year. But these ships are further down the line. We I think that's probably why people don't talk about them too much, right, guys? Because it's like, they haven't got past Hull C, so, D&E is somewhere down the road when they arrive. But there is a lot of conversation about these ships in the sense of their use, their abilities within the universe, and most of the time people talk about is their vulnerabilities, or at least what seem to be vulnerabilities. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to do a giveaway today. We are doing a giveaway of a Gatak Raylan with LTI, if I'm not mistaken. I think I bought it with LTI. And so that's going to be something that we do today as well. Even though we're talking about the hull ships, we thought we'd kind of keep a cargo theme to it. And so let me say way ahead of time, employees and staff of Soul Citizens are restricted from putting in, because there's a certain person who has a skull cap on with some headphones who always puts in when it's time for us to do a raffle. So just
only one person has won. That's on the current group right now. Only one person has won.
He won by proxy.
He did a brilliant tactic.
He won by proxy. So that was a whole different thing, right?
I keep trying.
Yeah, I see. Let's see. Lucky. Hey, Lucky. Good to see you. Who's out there? Hey, Gigi. Gigi's out there today. And let's see. Fist. Yeah, good to see everybody.
Yep. And Jade.
Jade. Yes, Jade. Jade is out there. Okay. We got a good crew here today with us kicking us off. Vaughn, Cody. Good to see you. Gataki. Vaughn says you failed to mention the Gatak Go map. Somebody throwing some hate.
He was with us yesterday at the Bar Citizen apparently.
Yeah, tell everybody a little bit about that real quick. Tell everybody about your Bar Citizen.
So yeah, yesterday, we had the one of the first Bar Citizen, in-person Bar Citizen in Atlanta, and over a year. It was great, awesome. It was outdoors. Everybody was safe. We stayed socially distant, until we weren't. But we had a great time. It was cool to actually talk and discuss the game that we all love to play. So
you're physically distant but socially together.
Yeah, we were physically distant but socially together. Yeah, we came out there. We had some good food. I mean, it was awesome to see everybody just kind of come together and pitch in to just kind of create that event. So, yeah.
Wow, Zaylin, thank you so much. Thank you for that resub with the Prime. Appreciate that. Well, listen, Fast Card, GoMap says he's got some images from that event yesterday, so he'll have those up for you for Thursday, because we really want to see that Bar Citizen, now that things are kind of slowly coming back to normal. It's great that people can get back together again. We've been doing the virtual ones, but yeah, man, the fact that you guys are able to get together in the ATL is pretty cool. So I'm jealous that you guys got one. We got to get one going into Shy. I know that, because we've been lacking. I don't think we've had one here in probably 2 years, and that was even before that happened. So anyway, Gladestone, good to see you as well. All right, let's jump into it. Gigi, thank you for the resub as well from Prime. Thank you for 7 months. Awesome. Okay. Again, we're talking about the whole D and E. Let me throw this at the panel today as our opening topic about cargo. And we've talked about the issue of cargo, trade, and transport before. How do you guys see these ships? I'm going to start with Love this time and work my way back the other way. Love, how do you see the role of these ships in game? I mean, we were before the show, in the pre-show, we were talking about how large they are. GoMap was giving us some numbers about the size. Do you see these things being used more for transport, in the sense of, you're getting hired, contract or whatever? Do you see them being used as trade, where people are actually going to sell their own wares, the things that they've acquired, maybe miners or people who are acquiring food or medicine? I mean, where do you see these ships landing? Because they're big.
Yeah, I think they're almost too big to use, but the advantage of them being large ships is like the hull E, for instance, is meant to use multiple jump points and like go from system to system to system. So I see it as cargo, like as trade. I don't know if there's going to be a type of like NPC contract system, but if players are using these for trading, going to a terminal and buying and selling, it's a long haul. Try to find those safe lanes and stay out of trouble, because these are just too big and too vulnerable.
Okay. Plus, what about you? What's your spin on these ships? Trade, transport? What do you think these big behemoths are about?
Well, I agree with LM. You probably see a lot of these being used. I mean, these are corporate ships. So you'll probably see a lot of these being used in some cases for transport. Who is that? I just went ahead and donated.
Shipwreck. Thank you, nice. Shipwreck. Thank you for the resub for 7 months. We appreciate that. Thanks, Ship.
Thanks, Shipwreck. So yeah, you'll probably see a lot of orgs probably use them for transport, depending on the size of their fleet. Probably. I would also like to think that this will also be dictated, as far as cargo or trade. It'll probably be dictated by Quantum. It'll probably be dictated by quantum,
Mm.
because I want to see how people take advantage of that and take advantage of where the resources are and how much is needed, and what quantum is going to try to throw in terms of the needs. So I see that being, I see cargo being dictated by quantum, but I see transportation being dictated by the orgs. We'll see how that works.
Ooh, that's interesting. Okay. All right, Gomab, it's on you, man. Could wrap us up on this. What do you think about this trade, transport, practicality of it? Give me some thoughts.
Yeah. So I look at these ships, and I think you got to break them out from the normal cargo running into more of a freight category. In looking back at CIG and giving the players agency, I believe they'll allow you to go to these to the terminals and fill it up with commodities if you so choose. It probably won't be the best idea. Like if you have a Caterpillar or a Hull C, you probably want to use the cargo ships for commodity trading and the freight liners for more freight contracts. But just to put it in perspective, a Hull C, we're not even talking about a Hull C, but a Hull C is 10 times the cargo capacity of a Caterpillar. And a Hull D is 5 times the capacity of a Hull C. So it's when you start thinking about how even trying to fill one of those up with waste, like the cheapest commodity in the game, how many millions UEC that will cost. I don't think it's even feasible to think about even organizations filling them up for trading and how much you'd be risking to do that versus the reward. So
okay, but
we shall see. People will try to do whatever.
Yeah,
because they can.
In this game especially, right? Now that's a very, very good point. I again, that's kind of why we're talking about this. Just so you guys know too, there's going to be a little bit of theory crafting in here. We've tried to do some homework on stuff that CIG has put out, and they've put out some stuff over the years, but the most recent stuff that we're going to be going over today even is only the last 2 years. When we go over the specs and everything, it's been 2 years since they've updated, and we know that they've been doing work on the Hull C and A. So whether these numbers are still legit, take it for what it's worth. We know they'll probably be somewhere around there when it comes to SCUs and cargo and capability of the ships, but we're going to go with the information that we do have from both CIG and also from the community. So thanks. Okay, let's do that. Let's jump in.
According to the website, the Hull D was last updated 8 months ago.
Oh, really? The D was? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, well, that's even better. What I was looking at was the ship matrix page, and maybe that's off, but thank you. So that's good. That's even better. It's even more recent, and that's good.
Yeah, the matrix is updated as well, Griff.
Okay.
8 months, same thing.
Okay.
8 months.
Why did I have 2 years there? I had 2 years for something.
The whole E. The whole E.
Oh, it was the E?
Yeah,
okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah,
all right,
the
cool.
E and the B and the A and the C. For some reason, they just touched up the D 8 months ago, which was what,
well, that's good.
IAE-ish?
That's good. Well, maybe because of the fact that they're doing the C, that forced them to start addressing it, and maybe the E is going to be obviously the last one that they're going to deal with. So that's good. All right, good stuff. Yeah. Okay, let's let me jump to, I think LM, you've got the first read on the, Gomab does, right? On the Hull D. Gomab, why don't you give him a real quick briefing on the description on how CIG describes the Hull D?
Thank you. So the Hull D kicks off the larger end of the spectrum with a massive ship built around a rugged frame. The Hull D is affordable enough to be operated by mid-sized organizations and companies. And Hull D is often used as flagships for mercantile operations, but their bulk means that they should be operated with an escort fighter and not in safe space. So don't go out into the verse by yourself without a Vanguard or somebody with you. The UE military uses modified Hull Ds as part of their supply chain, arming and refueling other soldiers on the front line. So they also have a military use as well.
Interesting. Okay. By the way, let me ask, does anybody here own a Hull D? Anybody on the panel?
Absolutely not.
No, I have a B from one of those like packs, which is rinky dink by comparison.
Okay. If somebody could, with Fast Card, I know you're out there. Could somebody do me a favor and look up the pricing on the Hull D and E? Because I forgot to write that down, and I know it was like 6 and
The D should be like
I remember.
350.
350 for the D?
It should be like 350, but I can also
Okay, yeah.
check.
If somebody can drop that in chat for us, that would be great. The D and E.
That is
I know
a
that the
steal.
I know that the C was 250 when it came out, and in fact, we're going to be giving away a Hull C. Not today, because we've got one, but we're going to give one away when the Hull C is about to be launched. So maybe in January, whenever that first quarter comes up, we've got one in buybacks that we're going to be giving away. So keep your eyes open for that. Okay, so nobody here owns a Hull D. Okay, thank you, Fast Cart. Hull D, like you said, LM 350 on that and 650. That's a huge jump.
Yes,
I remember
and it
that
used
was
to be 550.
it
The
used to
whole
be.
E concept was 550, and now it has jumped.
Okay.
But remember, well, mind you, just think about. I mean, these things are carrying cargo or freight. I'm going to refer to what they carry as freight and not cargo. The whole D carries 20,736 SEU, while the whole E is 98,000. Right, so it's 5 times.
Go back.
That.
He's still on that. He's
Look,
like,
say that again, Gomab. Say it again. What is the whole carrier, Gomab? What is that whole carrier? Freight and not what?
It's freight and not cargo.
Thank you, Gomab, because I don't think people understand.
Yeah.
I don't think they understand about that shit.
All right, LM, do me a favor. Can you give us the background on the whole E?
Absolutely. The largest specialized freighter available on the market today, the Hull E is generally owned by major corporations and operated with a high degree of planning. The lack of maneuverability inherent in such a large ship means that anyone planning to operate them should be careful about equipping turrets and providing escort. Their potential load and modularity is unparalleled. However, no other ship allows as much room to store goods or to modify towards another role, which that language is inherent in the original concept language. This idea that, like, yes, it has all of these like skeletal pieces for holding cargo, but there's always this language of like, oh yeah, it's modular and you can change it, but it never says to what. Like, it's very vague. If you look, if you look at the old, you found some of these materials, Griffin, but in the old spread about all the hulls, there is some language about, oh yeah, like it's modular, but there is nothing specific as like, well, what do you mean? Do you mean putting on like pods or something for more turrets? Do you mean like, what would that even, or maybe modular is not what we think of modular now. Maybe modular is like, oh, well, it's not all one type of cargo. Maybe you can change it.
If you look at the Hull series, they resemble another very modular ship and are made by the same manufacturer.
Wait, Kelosal. I want you to answer Love Machine's thing, because you and I had this conversation. What is the modularity about the Hull E, and why is it that it can actually be something else other than just cargo?
I mean,
there's something that you can put on it. There's something that you can actually put on it. Do you remember what it is?
I mean, if I remember conversation correctly, it was something about you can be able to put in stuff that would be able to transport ships.
Weapons mounts, ships.
Weapons mount ships and things like that. So you can transport maybe a Gladius. You might be able to transport. Obviously, you'll be able to transport things like dragonflies and things like that. But yeah, there's some ships you should be able to do that. Yep. I mean, the lore suggests that the military uses it to transport vehicles. So if that's the case, the question is, will they allow for citizens or players to modulate to transport the same type of equipment, if not something of less? So it'd be interesting.
Yes. One of the conversations from back in the day, and I'm going to try to find the graphic here. There were some graphics that CIG did, some schematics. There were schematic graphics that they did. And on those schematic graphics and some of the earlier stuff they showed, if you notice, like the picture that's up right now, you see it's got the billboards on the side. That implies the ability, as someone, I think Chanted Crow just mentioned it in chat, the ability to do advertising. Now, whether that's advertising, like you're getting paid for doing it or what. But again, we always talk about how CIG or Chris puts things in the game to have some type of purpose. And
there's also org branding possibilities too, not necessarily advertisements for like a, external purpose, but this is a Hull E run by blah, blah, blah.
I like that idea. I'm trying to find, there was a graphic that they had, and I don't have it here. Maybe someone can stumble across it. There's a graphic that they had. They showed these variants of what it would look like that you could put these other attachments on the ship. Like you said,
That's what
LM.
I didn't see.
Yeah, there was something. Now maybe it was something that was fan made. I got to be real careful about that because the fans be putting out stuff and they be looking pretty good too. And it's not necessarily CIG's. And it may have been that something was that people were putting out because CIG stated that. But the impression that was given was that the ship does have this modularity capability of being able to defend itself in greater ways other than the mounted guns that are on it now. So I'm sorry that I didn't get to pull that up and I've doggone it. Okay, but anyway, we're going to move forward.
I think it's the in a WIP post that you put up.
Is it? I don't know. It could be.
I'm looking through it.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have the octopus arms today. Where's Fast Card? Okay, no. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. What we will do now is give you guys. Some of you all don't know that CIG actually did. Thank you, Lefty. The Q&A for the Hull E. If anybody wants to pull that up or watching the video, that would be helpful. And I'll do the same thing. We're going to show you guys a video that CIG put out a little while ago of the Hull C. Now we're showing you that because the Hulls D and E are just bigger versions, and you guys already know that. They got a little bit more differences to them than that, but in general. But we want to give you an idea of the scale of these ships, because I think that it's hard to kind of get an idea of how big these ships really are, but they are big. Once you start getting to the C, D, and E, they're pretty large. So let's take a quick look at this one video, and then we're going to come back and then we'll talk about what we see and then go from there. Chanted Crow, thank you so much. Oh, 5 community subs. Thank you so much. You all make sure you all give a shout out to Chanted Crow. Citizen
that's Atlanta representing right there. Bar Citizen Atlanta.
Prampster, JJ, Plagued, and Stucky. You guys got those gifts. That is so awesome. Thank you, Chanted Crow, for doing that. Okay, let's take a quick look at this video and we'll be right back. Okay, so let me ask you, have you guys seen that video before I even get into it? Had you guys seen it?
Yes.
Okay, you've seen it also? You hadn't? Okay, Gomab, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Love, what'd you think of it when you saw that?
Where is this ship? We're pretty much done. Like,
Right. Right.
I mean, all it could do is just, quantum jump people around, but without docking or without the little what are we gonna call them? The little splines? I don't even know what to call the
spindles.
arms.
Some people call them spindles.
Spindles. That's what it is. Spindles.
And to your point, that was the one thing that they were working on. The grid issue and spindle issue was the issue with the ship. So that's been like the big holdup over time. Because we saw this a little while back. Were you impressed with the size? I mean, was it the size you thought? Now, mind, just a whole C we're looking at. So was that like the size you figured it would be? A little smaller, a little bigger? The layout, what'd you think of it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the B is smaller than a freelancer and the C is larger than a freelancer. And it had multiple decks, clearly. It had the very interesting, that outer little viewing area where you could exit, and where that one character was standing, like with his, arms crossed over a railing. That was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and to Gomab's point, and Gomab, to your point earlier, if this is what a whole C is, right? When we start talking about a D and an E, a C is big. I mean, it really is big. What was the size on it again? I forget what the measurement was on it. You said it earlier on the whole C.
Oh, for the
cargo,
for the
SCU,
cargo,
yeah.
It's about 4,000 somewhat SCU in cargo.
Okay. Okay. To answer the point that Love mentioned earlier, we went up to the Q&A, and one of the things that Kelosal mentioned this was the fact that the whole E could actually drop escort fighters from the ship itself. And it depends on how you configure the ship, because they talk about it'll be up to you how you can configure it. They also talked about and I forgot about this, there's a military variant of the ship as well, which I completely forgot about. It's been a while since I looked at, I looked at part of this. I didn't look at that part when I was looking at it the other day. Were you going to say?
Here's the deal. I mean, I'll look again, and somebody maybe can clarify it on the panel. But from what I saw, it says the UEE often uses it as a military transportation and things like that. Yep. I don't know if they will allow players to do that.
Oh, no. I don't think it is. It's for the UEE. Agreed.
Right. Okay.
We were talking about earlier how the whole C will be one of those ships that we see NPCers. It's supposed to be the most popular of the transport ships or cargo ships that we'll see in game being flown by NPCs. And again, I think sometimes we forget about the fact that ratio of 9-to-1 or 10-to-1 when it comes to being in the verse, that there are going to be ships that we're going to see out there that maybe not being piloted by us, but by someone else or NPC, aliens, all types of stuff that could be happening in game. Okay, so let me move on here. The ship matrix, we're going to take a quick look at that. And by the way, if you guys have any questions or anything you all want to present, use the little ellipse, the little soul citizen symbol down there by chat. You can put your questions in there and we will respond to them if we can later on in the show. And don't forget, we're doing the giveaway later for a Raylan, a Gatak Raylan. So for you cargo people out there, or for those of you who love alien ships, that might be something you want to stick around for.
Question?
Yeah, sure.
And an answer. So when somebody wins that Raylan, how will you be able to send it to Kelosal? The answer is you can donate to the Bank of Kelosal.
Yeah,
give you that Raylan.
Yeah, I don't think too many people want to give that one away. I don't think people are going to be using it as a token either. I think if they get it, they're going to hang on to it.
Humanity.
Yeah, I know. Okay, let's jump into it here. The ship matrix. Let's start out with the whole D first, because that's the one that we want to kind of tackle. We just kind of read these descriptions on both of them. Let me get out of that. Let me go to the specs here. So these both fall into that category of heavy freight. And Gomab, to your point, they didn't call it heavy cargo. They called it heavy freight. That's the classification that this went into. And like I said before the show, we were really talking about these ships are really on the heavy end of moving things around. Let's take a look at the sizes here. If you guys are able to read that, hopefully, chat, can you guys read those numbers? Please let us know if you are able to read those numbers. I hope you can. The length on the hull D was it 299? Am I reading that right?
209.
209?
Which is, 209. Just for comparison, in Endeavor's length right now is listed at 200.
Okay. Wow.
which will probably change
Yeah.
Of course.
for the Endeavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The question is that extended length or is that collapsed?
I would have to think that's
good
extended,
question.
to be honest with you, based on the size of that ship. Of an Endeavor. See, the other problem, that's the same thing with the Endeavor, because the Endeavor is always based upon the collapsed version. That's not the full length version. So maybe it is collapsed. GomAB, you might be onto something there. They may be equal in size. Yeah, they would probably equal in size when they're collapsed, but of course the Endeavor can be much longer when it's all said and done. If you add all the not all the modules, but if you do the module fill-ins on it, I would think it would be a little bit bigger. Okay. As to the hull D is what, 372?
372.
Okay, cool. Beam 76 is that? I can't read. My
70.
eyesight is so bad. Thank you.
70.
Okay, I got to bring it up on my screen here. 70. Okay, and 104 for the hull E. Height 70 meters versus 104 meters. Now this is the part that makes me wonder: is that collapsed or open? Because that seems pretty big. Yeah, that seems pretty big if it's collapsed. 104 meters in height. What do you guys think?
Yeah. So
that's got to be with the arms open. What?
I think it does have to be what it open. Yeah.
I would think.
I'm trying to see because, that has to be open. A Carrack's height right now is 30 meters. That's a whole Carrack.
Exactly. That to me makes it too much of a push. Okay.
That's what we're looking at. Is a fully extended spindle is 3 Carracks high.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. The other thing is that these, and you guys don't have this on the matrix on the screen, but the A, B, and C are considered small and medium. As to when you get here, their category moves to capital. So these ships are considered in capital class at this point. Their size is pretty big, 1.2 million. What's that? What is kg? Kilograms?
Yeah.
Is it kilograms? Thousands? Okay. All right. Versus
in math,
1.6 kilograms. Now, this is the area we were talking about earlier. Guys, take these numbers for whatever they're worth. Cargo capacity is, if we go to a whole C, which we just looked at, GomAB gave us some really good examples here. The number back then was 384, but a whole D. And that's another thing too, by the way. See on here on the matrix, that's 2 years ago. On the matrix now, I'm not looking at the ship spec. I'm looking at the matrix. It says that was updated 2 years ago, and now we know that number is bigger. What was the number you gave us, GomAB, for the whole?
The number that we got for the whole C is
4608.
4608.
4608. Okay, and that makes more sense. I'm just saying because here it was 364, and we got to remember this is back in the day when they were going from freight units to SCU, so they may not have translated that, or somebody just missed it. But now the whole C is what, 20,736? Is that the number?
No, whole D is 20,000.
I mean whole D. Thank you.
Yeah, the D is 20,736, and the E is 98,304.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
Okay.
Which is if that's SCU. I did some math earlier. If an SCU is 1.25 meters cubed, that all of that in a giant cube is like 800 or 8,000. It's like 8,000 meter cube or something. Like it's something obnoxious. Like the amount of cubes that you could just put together, like it's obnoxious.
Wow. Okay.
And you're gonna have people that be like, I want to be able to fill it up. Like, you ain't filling this thing up.
Let them try. Let them try. It'll be filled with scrap.
They can fill up their cup with brandy because that's how they should feel after they lose all that material.
Well, I'm telling you, look, the capital size hull ships are going to spawn pirates. As soon as you get out of protected space, it is going to spawn Idris pirates. And if you don't have escorts, it's a wrap.
You're going to cause a traffic jam of Quanta NPCs.
That's what's going to happen, huh? All right, there's nothing here for SCM speed or afterburner speed. Those numbers aren't there, but this is just interesting to me. I got to push back a little bit, GomAB. I used to run freight in Eve, right, which was very dangerous to do, and I rarely got nailed. because there are certain techniques when you run freight that you know to do to stay away from pirates. Now, if you're naive and you stay in the travel lanes, you're asking for it. You know what I'm saying? But space is big, brother, and you got to be real good to catch a good freighter pilot.
That'll be awesome. Like if quantum means, if like Tony Z says, hey, pirates are going to appear over here. So if you know not to go over here and you take the long way around, you can avoid the pirates. Right. Then cool. But as of everything we've seen so far has been like, it's random. It spawns based upon where you're at. This
is true.
Not where the pirates are supposed to be.
But just because pirates show up doesn't mean that they're going to get what they want. See, part of the issue is this. When I listen to people, not you, but when I listen to people talk about piracy in the sense of these big ships and stuff, the first thing they want to talk about is their defensive capability, guns, things of that nature, right? My job, if you hire me and say, Griff, I need you to move this stuff from here to here. My job is to get your stuff there. It's not to get into fights. It's not to get into battles. It's none of that. My job is to get the stuff there. And I think that people assume automatically if there's an interdiction, if there's a stopping, that there has to be a dynamic of battle or combat. First of all, you got to start the fight with me, and I got to be willing to accept the fight. And if my option, if I'm planning myself out well enough so that even if you interdict me, and I'm not saying I agree with you 100%, you should have escorts with you. But if I take a high risk run, believe me, I think that I'm going to try to make sure that I get away. I ain't trying to fight you. I'm not trying to fight you with 20,000 worth of stuff, because if I lose big time. You don't lose nothing. The most you lose is your ship. I'm going to lose a whole lot of stuff. Dude, it ain't worth it. It's for me as a transport pilot.
I would think the pirates that are sitting in these trading lanes or whatever that are sitting there waiting to lay a trap on these whole ships know how to stop them or are capable of preventing you from running. If that's the case, like we pull you out, we target your engines, we target your coolers or whatever, we stop you from jumping. We got a mantis there stopping you from jumping away. We're going to disable you and we're going to take what we want.
I want to see him. I want to see it happen. I agree in a travel lane. I agree with you 100%. Yeah. I want to see it happen for those of us who know how to work around travel lanes. I think we're going to be way more elusive. And if you get us, it'll be strictly by luck. It won't be because you're so strategic about it. Space is too freaking big. I mean, space is really big. And don't get me wrong, I agree with you 100%. The insurance factors is definitely having those escorts with you and everything else, because these are big ships. You mentioned a point about they're laborious to move. They don't turn on a dime. It ain't like you can just spin around and find some waypoint and shoot off. Right. I agree with you 100%. But we'll see. We will see. Now, here to your point, let's move on to this next category here, where we talked about crew sizes. Now, let me ask you this: do you guys think these crew numbers are realistic? They say minimum crew 3 and 4. D&E, maximum crew 5 and 5.
I say that is going to be completely dependent on like how in the future the mechanical systems are going to break down. Those things are so huge. They're going to have so many systems. I think you're going to have a minimum of like 5 mechanics. You're not even including the the pilot, the scanner. Like I just think you're going to have so many mechanics running back and forth, keeping it up to snuff. It's just so huge.
Do you think, and here's a question too. I don't know if you guys have any feelings on this, and Kelosal, you grinning, so I got to ask this question. When they give us these numbers for crew, what does that mean? Because not to be funny, let's say the ship is laid out similar to a freelancer, right? You know how the midships are. You've got pilot, co-pilot, and 2 other people in the back, right? Well, that's 4, right? Love, you just mentioned about the fact of an engineer, maybe an engineer or 2, right? And then there's the dynamic of, do you need security? Because even to GomabATL's point, if I get pulled out of quantum and stopped and somebody nails my engines, their next move is going to be pretty much, is if they were trying to be lucrative about it, is to try to board my ship. So are those 5 people enough to hold down the ship internally?
Okay. So let me answer that question really quickly, because it's no different. What they gave you or what they're giving us is no different than what we call bureaucracy. It's no different than the state coming out with policies and saying, this is what we want you to do. Now you figure out on how you can achieve it.
Right.
So basically, a good example of it is when you're building a house. You got a code, right? There's a code in terms of how to supply the roof, how to make the floor and stuff like that. The states are going to give you the minimum standard on what to achieve to make that house. The minimum standard. It may not be the best, but it's efficient enough for you to make that house.
Okay.
So it's no different than what CIG is doing. They're giving you the minimum standard of what it takes to run that ship. They don't care about you and your dynamics of security. They're not caring about all that other stuff. They're just telling you this is how many people we think it's going to take for you to run that ship. Anything else, logistics, you figure it out on your own.
Okay. Now,
and that number could refer to the maximum number of beds, because crew could mean, you log out.
Right. And that's what it is usually tied to. Alex Granger mentions this, talking about the crew size, referring to life support. Chris and them talked about the fact that life support will be a factor of how many people you can have on your ship too. In other words, y'all, the filtration air systems in the ship will accommodate a certain amount of bodies. So for those of you who think that you're going to have this ship that you can put 50 people on, but the oxygen system and everything is determined for a maximum of 10 or 20, your eyes are going to start spinning and y'all going to fall out eventually. So that's something to think about with these ships as well.
Lefty is killing me.
He said, what if you hold your breath? Okay, Lefty, yeah. What if we hold our breath, right? Okay, let's move on to the next set of specs here. Propulsion. What does it say there, gang? Is that aviation or propulsion I'm looking at? I think I skipped one, didn't I? I should have did. No, I did.
It's avionics.
Okay, propulsion.
Avionics.
Yeah,
propulsion,
I must have got them screwed up. But anyway, let's do. It's okay, let's do propulsion for right now. Then, let's see. It has 2 sea fuel tanks. And I don't know what those classifications are.
Capital.
You'll be capital.
Oh, capital. Thank you. Duh. Capital class fuel intakes, capital fuel tanks, quantum drives, jump module, and quantum fuel tanks with no great details, except for when you get over to the hull E, where the hull D has 2 times. Somebody gave us a nice subscription. Who was that? Oh, Lefty gave us 5 subscriptions. Lefty, thank you. Test Squadron, Best Squadron from Lefty. Lucas Lights, Delvos. Is that Valerie Rose, SGL Logic, Valerie Rose. Thank you. And Nihilus. Oh God, Nihilus got one.
Oh, Nihilus.
All right, thank you for the gift subs. We appreciate that. What? Lefty. Okay. So anyway, I was saying for the hull D, they are 2x fuel tanks, where on their hull E, they're 4x fuel tanks, and the quantum fuel tank is double in size, also on the hull E. I think one of you guys mentioned this earlier about the hull E being designed for doing those real deep, long range travel things.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, that'd probably be the most useful use case, is not even using the spindles, and it can just move people all over the place.
Interesting. Okay. All right, let's look at that next spec we got here. Thrusters. Anything special about thrusters we need to talk about between the two? Wow. 12 fixed maneuvering thrusters on both ships. The D has 4 and retro thrusters and 8 main thrusters. The hull E has 6 retro thrusters and 10 main thrusters. Big, powerful ship. And last but not least, what is that one? Weaponry. I didn't do systems. That's weird. Okay, let's talk about the weapons real quick here. They're to be determined. What's TBC? To be something? Anybody know what TBC is?
Is it TBC or TBD?
It says TBD and weapons TBC.
Yeah,
okay.
TBC.
To be confirmed, to be continued. Okay. They don't know yet. They haven't published it. That's what it means.
They don't know, right?
We don't know.
What I'm not seeing on that list of those things is whatever is supposed to let the whole C, D, and E. There is writing here that says they are equipped for water landings on low gravity worlds.
After blown up, yeah.
I just found that very, very interesting that no other ship has any type of writing for water landings, because we're having Ospreys in Star Citizen, but okay, the hull's gonna do that. All right.
Sure. And in addition, there is clarification on the military version with the hull E. I think we said there's one. They said yes.
Right.
The military designation is the R5M Proteus.
The Proteus. Yep.
That's what it's called. So interesting.
Mm-hmm. And you said you saw water landings here too?
Water landings in the Hull for Every Job. It's like the Miss Hull series piece of writing. There's a section called "But How Does It Land," which of course is like, if the spindles are exposed, you have to dock. Otherwise, they all are equipped for ground landing. However, they are equipped for water landings. Which it's in what scenario would you do a water landing that isn't just you crashing? Okay. It's my question. I linked that if you find in the page water, that there's the how does it land piece. Everybody
Sponge Roberts, thank you for the follow. We appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so after looking at these specs, we're gonna start getting into this whole thing of how do we run these ships now. But I want to ask this question to the panel. Who do you think should own these ships? If there's somebody, none of you guys own one. I don't own one. I will say this: I actually have a long-term plan to own all the Hull ships. I have the A, B, and C, and my goal is to eventually get the D and the E. I said I work for them in game. So, Love, I'll start off with you this time. Who do you think should own a D and an E? Who in game?
Who in game? I just really don't see it. I mean, I think people own them, but I don't think we'll see them flying around. They're just too unusable. I only think Mad Men would own these things. I just really don't see. Like, there's so many other cargo options that the risk versus reward is just way too high. Unless the modules are really cool, and it's like, we have a hornet's nest of 300s coming out of a Hull E. Like, I'm not seeing kilometers of cubes floating across space. I'm really not seeing it.
Moriar says he owns one. Moriar says I'm one of the people that should have one. Gomab, what about you? Who should do you think who should own a D or an E? Is there a certain level of player or what?
Yeah. So the same life that attracts those people that you have to dodge on the interstate driving those big rigs across country from California to New York every day, right? There are people that enjoy that long haul life.
Yeah, that's true.
Look at Elite Dangerous, right? Not to bring another game. There are people that just like going from one side of the bubble to the other and just want to see all the sites and make money while doing it, right? Through exploration or cargo running. Yeah. So I these ships, these freight running ships are going to be cross system ships. So if I want to, I'm done with Stanton, and I don't want to deal with the crap over here anymore, and I want to just take off and see what's happening over at Nix. I'll pull out my Hull C and grab a cargo or freight contract that'll get me paid once I get there. Hire a couple people that can watch my back, and let's hit the road.
Okay.
Those are the people that are going to want to do this.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what I don't want to hear are the people that say, well, I want to do that, but then tomorrow I want to come back and jump on my friend's javelin. Like, no, you got to make choices. Either your ass is going to Nix or Pyro, or you're over here hanging out in Crusader. I want to hear that you want to, snap your fingers and teleport back.
Okay. Kelosal, here's a scenario. I know that you enjoy mining, right? And we'll get into logistics later on, but I'll save that question for logistics. Who needs to get this ship to you in your opinion?
Who what?
The D or E. Who should own it? Who should operate? What type of player?
I agree with my colleagues. I mean, especially with LM, I just want to say to Moriar, what we say in the South is bless your heart. Because
bless your heart.
That's going to be a major undertaking. I mean, I probably would, let's put it this way. I was going to jump on that bandwagon. I was going to purchase a whole D, whole E. Thank you, Nihilus. I was going to go ahead and purchase that. Nihilus is like my, he's my banker because he makes sure that I purchase every ship in game. But it's I see orgs doing that, man. I see orgs. Maybe Moriar's going to go ahead and give it to his org and let his org go ahead and run with it. But, if you're going to be that one person running with it, I do see that in Elite Dangerous. You do see that with those big old huge ships they got in game now with the capital ships. So if you see it in Elite Dangerous, then Griff, you're going to see it in Star Citizen. You're going to see a 1 or 2 person piloting a whole D and a whole E. You're going to see that. So, but I wouldn't recommend it. But But yeah, org should do that. But if you're doing it with the 1 and 2 man, 3 man show, more power to you. Let me know. Give me your web address so I can see how you're doing it.
Yeah, I was about to say if you're flying a full hull E, turn your location on.
Okay.
Go into your mobi-glass. Turn on your location.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's
revisit another subject, and it's value. Right, the cost of these ships. We talked about the whole C. It was 200 when it first got out. Concept is 250 now. The whole D is 350 now. The whole E is 650 now. What do you think, or do you think there will be a price increase when these things get ready to become ready to fly? Do you think that they'll stay at those prices based upon what we've seen in the game so far with ships coming out?
I think the only reason the price would change is if they come out with some information to say, we're working on these things, we're going to add these features. Right now, there's no justification to change the price other than looking at the SCU per dollar ratio of this is how much a freelancer max, this is how much a Rylan is. Like, I think if they came out and said, hey, whole D and E's, they're going to have the cool passenger pods, ship pods, all that. If they released that, they could put a couple 50s and 100s on those.
So LM, let me ask this then, quick, LM. If people find out that mystery modularity thing is legit, right? That I can attach ships to it, I can do cargo bins for vehicles, I can put weapons on it. Will that increase the value? Because it implies that there's some modularity, just like the Caterpillar. They talked about the modularity for that. Will that make people take a second look at these ships beyond just that thing? You know, all the images just show boxes, right? So do you think that will make people look at the ship a little differently?
I think, absolutely. Especially the whole E being a lot more akin to like an Endeavor. The second they actually confirm that and put some art to it that puts it like in the same pedestal as the Endeavor in terms of like customizability. Because right now it's just, okay, we can transport a lot of boxes, 650 USD worth of boxes. And the second they alter those numbers or add more features, then that price will definitely go up.
Okay. Gomab, you were going to say something. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I think what you'll see first in game, right, is because right now you see box missions, right, which is kind of the low level cargo transport mission where you got to go pick something up, go. But we don't have any cargo like, hey, a cargo contract mission. So once they implement cargo and freight contract missions in the game, which we could support now with the C2s and the Caterpillars, right? Mm-hmm. You know, once they have that in the game, then once they have the other systems like the Nyx and the Pyros in the games with the hulls, that you'll start seeing that running freight could be a very, very lucrative way of playing, and very, you know, because the majority of people, like a lot of us like to play the game to do the things that we want to do in the game. But then there's a lot of people that are going to do whatever makes the most money. Right. Okay. Because they're like, look, I want to make as much money as I possibly can, so then I can go do what I want to do. So I believe if they introduce, you know, freight contracts that say, hey, look, you got to take this load from Arc L1 to Pyro 3, and you know, if you got a C, you know, a whole C or whole D, you can make, you know, 200,000 or $500,000 on this run. You're going to start seeing people do that in there. It's all about how much money they can make, you know, and whether it's worth it at the end.
Okay. All right. Colossal, thoughts?
I mean,
you look on your face.
Yeah, because I've been reading the chats, you know, answers and things like that, and they got a lot of good, interesting theory crafting points over here. I want to, you know, try to remind everybody that the in terms of weapons, right? Because we're talking about, will they increase the pricing of the D and so forth and what have you? I don't know. I will have to look at that, because what's going to have to impress me is, are they going to do something to increase the weapon? We just saw in one of the Q&As that they said that's going to be a difference between the merchantmen and the hulls, because the merchantmen will be able to work on the weaponry and the hulls less thereof. So with that being the case, that should be considered. If they're going to increase the price, they're definitely going to increase the price of a hull D. I don't see it sitting there. I really don't see it sitting there. I see the hull D maybe hitting 500, and the hull C. What did we say the price is right now with the hull C?
250.
I'm sorry, not the whole C. The whole E is in Edward.
650.
The E is 50.
650. Okay, probably no more than 758. You know, so yeah, there's going to be some price increases, guys. When it starts to become available, you're going to see those prices high.
Okay.
Sorry, that's my opinion, at least.
Okay.
I think that.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Let's go back a little bit here and talk about concerns about these ships, right? You know, a lot of times people have talked about the whole sea, and they've talked about, oh, they're nothing but moving targets. As soon as we see them, blah, 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 blah. What are the vulnerabilities of these ships? I mean, are they as vulnerable as people think? Are they as susceptible as people think? Some of you all remember Star Jump put out a video last year when he did the one on Drake, and there was a scene in there where a Cutlass flew up to a hull C or hull D, and it put his tractor beam on and pulled the box off. Mind you, he doesn't say that's the way the mechanics are working. Of course, it was just done for that particular situation.
Right.
But you know, what is it? What is the vulnerability of these ships? Are they as vulnerable as they seem? You know, give me your thoughts on it, because you keep hearing about this dynamic of vulnerability of these ships. Well,
they're as vulnerable as your lack of planning allows it.
Well, and one thing I do want to point out: Hull D and Hull E, capital ships. All right,
I hear you.
They have capital size power plants.
Yeah.
Capital coolers, and most importantly, capital shields.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not about to harass a capital ship with anything that is not meant to harass a capital ship.
Let's not also forget that they're MISCs, and MISCs, capital ships, mostly have very limited weapons, but very good armor. Very good armor.
Right.
So you're going to have a hard time trying to get into that ship. I know most people are not going to try to destroy it. You'd be a fool if you're going to try to destroy that ship. You're going to try to capture it. But so as far as getting to that armor, you better have some power to at least, you know, start cutting and maybe disabling. That's your thought. You want to disable those ships. You don't want to
disable it. You want to disable it, but still, you're not going to fly up there with 5 arrows to a D and do anything but cause that ship to giggle.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Well said.
Okay. Jot asked the question, do stock components actually change the cash value of the ship? I mean, cumulatively, I would think yes. But when it comes to insurance, if I'm remembering correctly, CIG says there'll be 2 types of insurance. There'll be the one that you have 6 month, 12 month, 5 year, 12 year, 10 year, whatever, LTI, right? Where your ship is restored back to you in its base state, in other words, stock. And then there will be an option for you to buy additional insurance. Some of you remember seeing just recently, they showed us the logos and talked about insurance companies.
They got the General versus State Farm.
Yeah. And so, Raymar, thank you for the
timing on that
subscribe. Thank you, Raymar. But you know, they talked about the health insurance dynamic, but there's also the insurance they've talked about for insuring your ship for components, and also being able to even insure when you're transporting cargo or freight. And of course, there'll be fees for that. And the question becomes, you know, is it worth it for you to pay those fees in the long run? But thank you for that question, Jad. It's a very good question. Let's see here, guys. Forgive me. I've got a technical issue going on over here that I don't want to fix, because I'd have to lose all of you all on camera. So I'm going to have to work around it. The vulnerability dynamic. Thank you for mentioning that, GomabATL. The capital dynamic is a factor. Love, what do you think about that? This vulnerability dynamic of these ships.
You know what? I didn't really think about the shield thing, because we know that's coming. That's not in the game yet, but that is coming, where like ships that are not meant to damaged capital shields, capital armor, like they won't be able to do anything about it. Because I was just going to say the vulnerability aspect is, where can you take a whole D&E? Like right now we have the first kind of implementation of where the docking is going to be. So when systems are different and are very specialized, or, it's like, well, if I'm in the system, I can only have cargo and dock only at this place. That's where people could try to set up a trap and quantum snare torch. Like, I think that's kind of the biggest vulnerability, is like, where can you go with a whole D&E? Like, what infrastructure can support you? And then that obviously kind of makes it easy for people to try to single out those locations to try to pirate or grief.
Okay. Kelosal, thoughts?
I mean, that's a very good question in terms of where can they go, because I mean, if you're talking about Nyx, let's talk about Pyro, for example. I mean, it's only one station out there, and you definitely can't land with those ships. So you might want to try to, come up with logistics to check and see what type of hauling ship you can get to come in there. Now, and a whole E may not be logical for the Pyro system. You may have to come in with a merchantman. At least she can land.
Well, Ruin Station is a space station.
Right, it's a space station. Like, she's going to be heavily.
You should have docking, right? Not
if you can get to it.
Landing.
Right, if you can get to it. So. But once again, I mean, these are interesting things. I guess that's another a point that we'll get to when we get to logistics. I'll try to hold my answer for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. I think we lost GomabATL for a second. You there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's your hand.
I had somebody running my room.
That's fine. All right, and Raymar, thank you so much for that compliment. I saw it flash through. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's look at this logistics dynamic. We've broken this down into several categories, dealing with storage, loading and unloading, security, escorts, and insurance. So let's talk about storage. This was my question I was going to present to you earlier, Kelosal. You're into mining big time. And let's say that you're mining a particular mineral, whatever it is, several minerals, whatever they are. You're out there doing your mining. You're out in the asteroid belt. You're out there with your mole, and over a period of time, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, you've not only been mining this stuff, you've been keeping an eye on the market, right? Seeing this particular mineral and what the value of it is. And let's say that you have now mined, I'm just picking a random number. Let's say you've mined like 30,000 K in this particular mineral, right? All these minerals and stuff. And you've been putting them at the cargo decks, right? I mean, the cargo decks are going to be opened up for you to be able to store stuff that you have refined and mined, right? Now, you've got all this great stuff. You're sitting back saying, man, I got 30,000 of this stuff. And you're also paying attention to the market. And you just happen to see that over in the Gauss system or in Nyx or someplace else, that particular mineral that you've got sitting in those cargo decks, sitting at Hurston or wherever, actually can sell for 8 times the value if you get over there to drop this stuff off, right? How you getting it there? And are you willing to take that risk? 8 times the value of profit to jump maybe 5-6 systems. Are you going to hire somebody? Are you going to get your org to do it? How are you going to move that stuff? Because yeah, you could sell it in Hurston, or maybe you could sell it in Pyro. Are you going to consider that this whole D or E is the way to get your stuff out and get that, one big hit, that big score? Or are you going to just go ahead and load up a Caterpillar and do 20 runs? And take your chances.
Yeah, see, I'm not going to kiss and tell, but that goes with what you just listed earlier was the 5 elements of logistics.
Okay.
What you just listed: the storage, the warehousing, the packaging. You talked about putting the stuff in the loading area and so forth. And you got the inventory, and then you got the transport and information control. But the other parts is the 5 basic principles of logistics. That's the system of approach. That's the general logistics cost. That's the global optimization. That's the logistics coordination and integration. You talk about modeling and information and computer support. So now you're talking about contacting other people. If you're seeing that Quantum says that at this particular time, your item is worth this much, is worth tenfold in Nyx or Pyro versus Stanton. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get in contact with with Love Machine Industries and say, hey, Love Machine, I got on my stuff gets done on Thursday. It's now Monday. Okay, so I'm gonna need your people available on Thursday. This many people. We're gonna move from this time to this time to go from this system to this system. This is how much do you require? What's your basic minimum? And how many people can you give me to help me support this? So that's the logistics part, because maybe at that time, hopefully at that time, that the resources are still in need. Okay, at that time, because you never know, things change. But even if things are sporadic, and let's say I'm not done with mining, and I still got some, and the system comes up and says it's 10 times worth the value, then yeah, you're going to have to go ahead and get somebody in your group. Test Squadron is big enough. We can go ahead and get that. If when it comes to transportation, Griff, those people who transport and mine, we will sit out there 24 hours a day doing just that and not have a problem. So yeah, if it's worth it, you darn right, I'm gonna go ahead and put together my fleet to go ahead and get together other people and take the risk. Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
So you do.
And there's
you
plenty of
take
people
that
in
risk.
chat that will do it.
Okay, so you'll take that risk. You'd be willing to load that 30,000 into a D. Okay.
It ain't heartbeat.
Okay, all right. That's what I'm curious about. I'm curious
All I'm
about.
thinking is this.
Yeah, and to get you a couple folks to escort you. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you got. Just make sure you got your T's dotted and your I's crossed. And
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Your T's crossed and your I's dotted.
Let me ask this
I
question.
said that way on purpose.
I know.
I knew you couldn't help it. Yeah,
I couldn't help it. You couldn't help it. It was like,
Love, let me ask you this question. CIG has talked about, or Chris has talked about, the fact that there will be loading and unloading times that are going to be introduced in the game for these larger ships. So you can't just go to the console and say, move my 30,000 units of SCU over and, run down to your ship and it's all there. What will you be doing during those times? I don't know what those times will be. 5 minutes, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. But what would you be doing as a leader, getting ready to make the shipment, whether you're, orchestrating it, whether it's your stuff or whatever? What would your org be doing? What were some things you'd be doing during that time, probably?
Oh, probably like physical inventory management, going to the lockers and getting the right suits or whatever, figuring out who's escorting in what ships, setting up some good tunes in the chat, getting a snack, drink water.
Yep. I mean, these are all a part of logistics, seriously, right? I mean, these are those other things that you have to think about when you're getting ready to take some folks out. Literally, maybe let's assume that you're jumping 4, 5, 6 systems, right? Trying to get somewhere. And this moves into the next point. Before I get into the next point, let's say that it takes 20 minutes, 30 minutes to load up, right? People are, I don't know if these are NPCs. I don't know how they're going to make this thing look like your ship's being loaded, whether we're physically going to see something or whether there's a timer that says your ship is ready to go. They have implied, like ships like the SRV and stuff, that there'll be people who could actually work in careers. Maybe there are people in your org who can bring their SRVs and help the process of loading faster. Who knows, right? But that 30-minute window does give you time to handle another dynamic of logistics, is what you're saying, right? As far as prepping.
Yeah. Yeah, prepping, and then like thinking, like it's not just like escort ships, it's like what type of support ships do we need? Because yes, if we're making a long journey, we also have to get our characters food and water, and any other type of life support too. So we'll be at the burrito bar, or when they implement chopstick gameplay, we'll get to the noodle bar. And do that as well.
You
all the
realize,
material goods that we have to bring along.
You realize they're implementing the potty dynamic too in the game, so the burrito bar may not be the place to go for long-term trips. You know that, right? Something to think about. Something to think about later on. Gomab, look at Gomab. Gomab, they are. They're implementing
really
that.
are.
They are implementing the boo-boo thing, brother. So you got to be ready, dude. I'm telling you.
I hope the vents would be operational at that time.
It's just like Death Stranding. No, nobody? Okay.
Okay. Internal security. Gomab, what are we looking for on these hull ships for internal security? Are you bringing a security team, or are you just going to make sure that your crew is capable in order to deal with if someone wants to do some form of piracy? This is internal security inside the ship.
I just, make sure everybody got their guns and know how to shoot.
Okay.
Some med pens.
Okay, so you're not going to hire anybody. You're just going to keep it just your crew. Make sure your crew is tight.
I think it'll be more effective to me to hire people to fly escort ships as opposed to having.
But if they get nailed, I'm saying if they get nailed, if you lose your escorts, if you get quantum.
If escorts are getting nailed, that means the escorts are the ones getting shot at and I'm not.
They're doing their job.
Right.
So are you saying you leave them behind? Is that what you're saying?
That's what they get paid to do. That's why they're there to soak up the bullets. They are the threat. Right?
Okay.
Remember when the 890 wasn't getting shot because it wasn't the threat.
Okay.
They should be the threat, so they should be shot first while I am picking another spot to quantum to. And man, God bless. I'm out.
Okay. Hopefully they'll catch up later. Okay.
Yeah. Holler at me when you get done cloning yourself again. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Kelosal, that moves to the escorts is where GomabATL went. How would you pay your escorts? Are you giving a percentage? You doing a flat fee? Is it based upon, every time we make a jump, you get paid this much money? How would you pay your escorts?
I mean, there could be so many things, but I mean, you could do a percentage because you want to make sure that you get there. You want to make sure you get there. So at least, maybe when you get there, you probably pay the entire full fee. Some orgs are asking the full fee right up front, but that becomes a trust issue. So I know Love Machine had a better example of how to take care of that part. But yeah, I would pay a certain percentage, right at the start, and then maybe at certain points of the way you start giving the rest until you're able to finish the entire mission, which is get there from point A to point B. So,
okay, cool. LM, what about you? How are you going to handle that with escorts?
Kelosal had a good point about the percentages of no one gets any money if the ship blows up. You can't even really guarantee at the start, hey, if we don't make it there, you're not getting paid, so hopefully that'll actually help give people some motivation to do their job and soak up the bullets. So I think would probably
if I make
be
it there and you don't, I'll take
job.
care of your kids.
I'd probably pay them based on per stop if it's multi-stop, or just a percentage if you make it there.
Okay. Kurisum asks the question: do you think people will sell shipments based on value speculation without the risk of actual transport? What do you guys think about that? Do you think people will sell shipments based on value speculation without the risk of actual transport?
The risk of transport's always going to be there. I don't know. How do we remove the risk of transport from?
Well, I think they're saying without, will people just sell shipments without even worrying about moving it? You know what I mean? They'll just have a certain amount that they're going to push. And let's say Colosal's that miner, right? And he doesn't want to, he's not going to take the risk of moving it, but he's got 30,000 sitting up in the cargo decks and he's willing to go ahead and put it up and sell it. He's not going to risk, hiring the hull and all that stuff.
Yeah, so you sell it at local market rates at that time, right?
No. That's not what I'm saying. 5 systems from here, that stuff can go for 8 times value.
Right.
And Colosal's got a load of it, but he doesn't want to take the risk of moving it there. So is he willing to sell it to me, right?
At local market rates.
Oh yeah.
Would it be local? Would it be local market rates when it could be more profitable? Listen, I ain't got to do the work. I ain't got to mine for it. Is he going to sell it to me for the same value it's worth here locally, or is he going to charge me a little bit more? Because if I get it over there, I'm going to make more money. Money.
Yeah, that's the gamble that the transporter takes. The transporter takes the risk of the travel, the time, the fuel, resources, all that. That's the model of how I'm going to sell botanicals from my Endeavor. Is I'm not leaving the Endeavor. People can come pick it up and they can move it.
Okay.
Yeah. You trade happens at local market rates. If you bring a commodity 5 systems over, you're still selling it at local market rate, right? You may be able to buy a PlayStation 5 at Walmart for $400 in Chicago, but if you take that thing to Sao Paulo or
Right.
you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
you might be able to get $2,000 for it, right? It's
Okay.
local market rate that you're always going to be transacting at. So yeah, but you can't say, "Hey, look, I'll sell you this PlayStation 5 for $2,000 in Chicago,"
right?
Because you can sell it for that much in Chicago, in Sao Paulo.
Right, but his question was more relation about speculation. In other words, you know, it's speculative that he's good because he may not make it. Right? I mean, I may not make the trip. I may not be able to actually get there. And if I pay Kelosal that $30K, for that 30,000, right? But I don't make the trip. I've lost all that. He got paid. I lost it all, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the risk.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Because I'm taking on the risk. I'm taking on the risk. He's getting his money, but he's saying I don't want to deal with the risk. But here, okay, gotcha.
That's why he can sell it at local market rates.
Okay.
He still makes a profit because hopefully local market rates still are profitable, but it's not as profitable as if he takes on the risk of transporting across multiple systems.
Okay. All right. We got a couple more questions, but we're gonna push through this and we're gonna hit the questions toward the end before we do the raffle. So guys, those of you with questions, I'm not ignoring you. We'll get to them. We talked about insurance earlier. This is just a quick yes or no question. Gomab, would you take out insurance if you're hauling anything, hull D, hull E, or is your insurance your escorts and stuff? Because I mean, we don't know what their insurance rates are going to be. I'm assuming they said it would be something of, well, this was dealing with ships. I don't know what the insurance rates are going to be with cargo. Is it going to be like a decent amount of your change to insure it? I kind of think about like when people fly, like the time people fly and, you're buying your ticket and they ask you, do you want to take out travel insurance? A lot of people say, nah, forget it.
Money talks, right? You got to do the math.
Okay.
Do the math, right? Can you, if you buy the insurance with the cargo, can you still be profitable? And is that profit that you're going to make still worth your time?
Okay.
Right. So if that's the case, then yeah. But if you can't insure it, then all insurance does is bring down risk. And risk does have a monetary value associated with it. You may not see it on the surface, but risk has a hard dollar number associated with it at all time. And you're paying that down by buying insurance. So the equations still work out. And whether or not you buy insurance should just be factored to the equation of whether or not this venture is worth pursuing either way.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Love, let me ask you, should they do insurance based on the like coverage, right? Like, how when you, you go get insurance coverage, you say like, give me 20,000 worth of insurance or 50,000 or 100,000. When it comes down to those loads, do you think that they should make it incremental like that? In other words, I'm going to get enough insurance to cover maybe I don't have enough to pay for the 100% of my load. Should they do it incrementally, or do you think it should just be, flat rate? Insurance covers everything, no matter what. And we're talking about this for the cargo.
I think they should. And then I wonder, like, how long does that insurance coverage last, too? Because what if you go to a place, you try to sell, and the inventory's full? Like, so you sold some, and now you have to store. Does that insurance last for the day or the week or until the ship's destroyed? But yeah, I think it should be incremental, so players have that choice. And also, you might not have that much money in your pocket. If you just bought a mill of commodity and then, in order to insure this, it's another half a mill or whatever it's going to be, like someone might not necessarily have that in their pocket or be able to like put out that much. They might just short and be like, well, I'm okay with losing this much. Like,
okay. Well, and to Love's point, Kelosal, should insurance be based upon what you're carrying? Am I making sense? No. I'm saying like, when you go to UPS and you want to ship something, they'll ask you what's the value of what it is, and then your insurance goes up based upon the value of what you're carrying, not the load size, but the value of what you're carrying.
And underwriting is real.
Well, I mean, that's if you're carrying somebody else's stuff. I mean, it could be if you're carrying somebody else's stuff. If you're carrying your stuff, then I mean, you're pretty much making that gamble. But if you're carrying somebody else's stuff, then maybe that if Gomab's going to come to me and say, "Hey, listen, I got a whole bunch of laranite that I want you to transport," then and he's putting that on me. The question is that going to be insured along with if my ship if everything gets blown up? Yeah, I would hope so. I would hope so. But I mean, it's like if I was going to charge anything, going back to Gomab's point and Love Machine's point, they have excellent points. The insurance would be the basic fee in terms of what I would charge, but that would be separate from operations. You know, it'd be separate from operations because you got to go ahead and factor in the cost of fuel it's gonna take for you to go ahead and get there, and at least possibly maybe half, and then the rest of it would be half of the logistics. So you know, that's going to be an interesting feat. I would like to see how technical they get with that.
I think they could do it fairly simply, right? By saying, all right, you know, we're just, you know, if you fill up a whole D and you get bloated up somewhere and you have insurance, we will minimize the amount of money you lose, right? Instead of you losing all, you know, and again, I feel like, you know, going back to, I don't think you're going to be buying commodities and filling that stuff up. I believe you're going to be buying contracts. They may be rather expensive contracts. Let's say you're spending $100,000 or let's say $500,000 on a contract to take this cargo. You'll spend another $100,000, right, to ensure that, so that at the very least, if you don't make it, you only lost, let's say, $100,000. Okay. Right. I think that's how at least the first pass it should work. That, and you know, you lost $100,000. The people whose contract you got, they've been made whole, so you're not like making enemies. You know what I'm saying? In the, you know, with all the companies that are contracting, you know, stuff out. Otherwise, now you owe them money, and you're, you know, they got you on that on-site list. So as soon as they see you, they just start firing that type of stuff. So,
Love, let me ask you a question, and then we're going to move on to about travel real quick. Are operating these ships the equivalent of operating a capital ship? I mean, I'm talking about in the sense of it's not the same as operating a whole A or a B. It's not, in other words, it's not just a bigger version of those ships, but just like how it costs money to operate a cap ship in game. Are we looking at that same type of thing? In other words, you got to have money in your pockets to run these ships, just to be able to cover logistics and everything else. You just can't take it out and have no money and say, I'm going to go out and take my whole D out and make a lot of money. No, you better already have some foundational money there to cover yourself.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that it would. Not only for that factor, but like these ships are going to be something where it demands like a multi-crew presence in order to operate it correctly. With the demand of scanning or communicating or whatever your up to 5 crew is going to be doing. Like, I think just like with the other capital ships, you won't be able to access everything you need necessarily, or you'll be really, really deprived of some sense when you're flying, if you're not flying like a capital ship. Or with the capital ship mentality. Okay, gotcha. All right, we're going to change gears again here, gang. We're getting near the end here. This last category is travel, UEE versus non-UEE space. Gomab, safe, unsafe in UEE space. Are we safe flying these ships?
No.
Okay.
You ain't safe nowhere.
Okay.
I don't think, you know what I'm saying? I don't think you should be safe anywhere. I mean, it's not like, you know, the UEE is known for a quick response or a deadly response when they do respond, right? It ain't like they showing up and be like, you know, let me take care of that for you. Pew, pew, pew. All right, on your way, sir. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, no, you ain't safe nowhere. If you ain't got your boys with you watching your back, you rolling the dice. Don't crap out.
Okay. Fair enough. Kelosal, I'm gonna go to you on the next question. NPCs, blades, or human when it comes to operating these ships? Is there any viability for that, or do you have a favoring toward any one of them?
First of all, I'm going to be educated on these blades. Who in the world is blades? Blades, NPCs, blades, or humans? I mean, I would take a human in a heartbeat any day. If you're going on long trips, then you may be able to put an NPC on it. I mean, if you're going in a localized, safe, traveled area, then I'm going to use an NPC probably. You know,
okay.
But yeah, it's
okay. And what would you use the NPC for? In this particular case, on a whole D or E, what would that role be for an NPC for you?
Oh, just typical, ship functionality. That's it.
Like what? So what specifically are you going to assign it to do?
I mean, they would have to do engineering. They would have to do the MFDs. Typical piloting. That's pretty much it.
Oh, you trust the NPC to pilot your millions?
Like I said, if I'm going in safe space, if I'm going in UEE travel space, now of course with quantum and things like that can change. They can literally change. They could block off certain areas. Then I'll be screwed. But it's a risk. I'll be risking that.
Okay, you're willing.
I'm cheap. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not cheap. I'm frugal. I'm frugal. There's a difference. There's a difference between being cheap and frugal.
Okay.
So I would consider myself frugal.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Love, I'm gonna hit you with the next question, and I'll come back to the other two on the next question as well on this one. Piracy. Yeah. We've been talking about this issue of piracy. Operating a D or a E. And Gomab gave a little bit of his tactics when it came to these ships. Fight, negotiate, flee. How do you feel about all three of those categories?
Fight, if and only if you have a trick hull D&E and it's just a hornet's nest of containers with ships inside. Like because that would be freaky. That would be awesome. I would love to see it. Negotiate, no, it's fleeing. Like, no, we're just getting out of there. Like, it was too expensive. There is nothing you can try to do. Just hope you have escorts that'll help get you out of there and just go. Like, no. Okay.
Gomab. Fight. Give me your thoughts on each one of those. Fight, negotiate, flee.
Hey man, if I'm a fight, I'm not going to be flying a whole D. If I want to fight, I'm trying to get from point A to point A and a half at the very least, but probably point B. Look. If you're in my way, hopefully I got some folks that'll distract you long enough for me to get on. If they don't make it, I'll take care of your family.
Okay. All right. So let me give you a scenario. You've been hit with interdiction.
All right.
Okay. And they're close enough to you that they've got one of the interdiction ships there that's going to keep you from being able to jump.
Okay.
All right. So the next stage now is a message comes across. We want 10 million. What are your thoughts right now? You still got those options: fight, negotiate.
I'm telling my boys, find the red glowy ship and blow it up. While I point myself away from it.
I'm back. Okay, let me redefine my scenario. Your 3 or 4 escorts were taken out. You're just out there now by yourself.
I mean, that happens really quick. I mean, they can't interdict me, take all my 3 vanguards.
Listen, all I'm saying is you've been interdicted, and while you're trying to restart your engines, your 3 or 4 escorts got blown up while you were sitting there.
I mean, and it's a wrap. I mean, when you taking all the choices off the table, if you take all the choices off the table, what choices do I have?
No, the only choice I took off was the one you want to pick. There are still 2 other choices.
He's like, there's still
you got
2 other choices. To your head.
2 other choices still.
Do?
There's 2 choices. I'm asking you.
There's no choices.
What do you mean there's no choices?
If I don't have an opportunity to run, then I can't run.
So you got either negotiate or you fight.
I'm in a freaking hull D.
Okay, now chat, y'all help the brother out. He for some reason his brain can't get past the fact that he has options. You still have options. They have not taken your ship. You are sitting there and somebody has sent you a message saying, "Hey, $10 million or we board you."
We're talking about the same. No, Griff. Hear what I'm saying?
Okay.
You're talking about fighting as an option against the same folks that just wiped out my escort before I even had a chance to figure out what was going on.
All right, so that's your answer? Because I'm gonna give you the answer that you should have had a long time ago. I'm trying to give you an option, but if you tell me
I gotta pay or I gotta die.
Okay,
I have no choice.
Okay, so you say pay or die. Okay, that's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Colossal. Let me go to you. What are you at now? Give me your thoughts on those 3. Fight, negotiate, flee.
My thing is shoot first, beg for forgiveness later. So that's the way I'll be going down, folks.
So you going down to the fight. You going down to the fight.
Going down with the ship. Right. That's Colossal's way. I'll be going down with the ship.
Okay. All right. So let me give you another scenario for you to consider. While that fight was going on and you get interdicted, what would a good captain be doing? Anybody? Give me your thoughts. What would you be doing as a captain?
Save his crew. A good captain would save his
crew. And also, you got a lot of material on your ship. You got millions.
But I got insurance on it. I'll be all right.
That's okay. That's an option too. I got you. Yeah, if you got insurance, that's another fact. But here's the deal. there is the risk possibility of losing your ship. That is a real possibility, right? And that can be hurtful because it's a capital class ship. And if it gets taken or destroyed, you might be waiting a day, you might be waiting a week, you may be waiting a month before you get that ship back. So what are your options? And anybody can answer this. What are your options while they're negotiating? I'm the pirate. All right, 10 million. You got 3 minutes to think about it.
You're getting 10K and that's it.
Yeah, you're getting the middle and the middle finger, and I'm like, look, anything if that don't work for you, then look, I'm running.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, if I'm running this ship just the way I'm going to play, this ship is going to be run by one of my alts. So, you know what I'm saying? If I'm taking this long risk, this long high risk flight, I'm not putting my main or anything that is right
associated
with my main in jeopardy on there.
Okay,
and the ship is going to be insured, the cargo is going to be insured. The most you're going to do is cause me some inconvenience and some time.
All right, so somebody read what Jade said in chat. Jade just said it.
I'm just out.
Jade said, as a former pirate, I'd give up the cargo or negotiate a lower fee.
Yeah,
because
right, because
they just want to get some money.
There you go. There you go. You got to remember, there's risk on their end too, because if they decide to board your ship and you actually waiting on them, there's some possible losses on their end as well. And if they're looking for profit, and if you want to keep your ship, the question becomes: is it better to negotiate and say, hey? I told a story before when I was at Eve Mining and a guy asked me for 15 million and I cried broke to him. Dude, 15 million. Oh my God, blah, 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 blah. I can give you 7. And the guy's like, 7? Are you kidding? I said, all right, man. Okay. I got 10, but that's all that's all my money. I had like 200, but I gave the guy 10 and he left me and he let me go. So I'm saying, to your point, Gomab, yeah, protect your crew. Agreed 100%, right? Mm-hmm. You got the insurance to cover yourself, but there may be dynamics of the game. There's another dynamic too. Did anybody think about putting out a hail or SOS to any of their buddies that might have been in the area while you were sitting there waiting? Can somebody else show up?
But if you're in a hull, right? If you're in a hull C or hull D or hull E, I'm out. You know what I'm saying? I'm out further away than anybody who can come help me can get, unless you're already with me.
Maybe you dropped the beacon, dude. Maybe when the fight started and you lost your power, you dropped the beacon and told somebody, hey, 1 million credits to anybody who shows up out here to give me a hand.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there are creative options beyond the 3 that I gave you. I agree with you 100%. I narrowed it to 3. I was just saying, how do we start thinking out of the box and say, what are some other dynamics that maybe we can do in game?
So let's say I had somebody on the ship with me, right? Like another player on the ship with me. First thing I'm gonna do, tell him is while we're talking with these pirates or these other people, I need you out the airlock and EVA into those people's ships.
There you go. Hey, seriously, yeah. Who knows, right?
Like,
absolutely.
First shit, oh shit, we got somebody. Get ready. You know what I'm saying? Get suited up. Get ready. Because we're gonna sit here like no, they're gonna
There you go.
I'm gonna get them to stop, and we're gonna go over there and we're gonna go Predator on their ass, and then you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna get a whole new ship today, and we're gonna get on somewhere. Like,
yeah, I mean, again, there's all types of creative things that we can come up with. I agree with you 100%. And I guess that's all I was really pushing for was how do we get outside of those restrictions? Because
if my escort is dead, right? If they interdict me, I can't jump.
Right.
They taking my escort out, right? And it's just me versus the people that just took my escort out, right? You know, and the other wrinkle is if I'm in a D, mind you, it's a capital class ship. Now my escort is probably not a bunch of Idrises. So yes, you can jump on a bunch of vanguards and take them out.
Yeah.
But if you're a fleet of vanguards, I'm going to just laugh at you in SCM until y'all get bored of following me, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not going to do anything to me in a capital ship with your guns.
Okay.
You can stop me from jumping, but that's about it.
It's going to take a little bit more, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You need something. You're going to, when that Ares shows up. All right. But
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's hit a couple questions here that came up. Lefty, let's see. Okay, let me do Jaja first. Jaja says, if you pay for safe passage in a hostile system, does that make you a partner, a sheep, or a tax-paying citizen? I don't know, John. I don't know if y'all can answer that question for him. Lefty has a question. Would you treat NPCs and PC pirates differently? PC pirates.
Player controlled or
Player
NPC?
character.
Player control differently. That's a good question. Because like Kelosal said earlier, it's really going to depend on how they outlay Quantum, whether Quantum will have that capability. It's going to be really weird for me to see that Quantum can actually do negotiation. I mean, I'm sure there's some script that they can come up with that tries to get you to surrender or something like that. But whether you can negotiate, I don't know if it's going to be that intricate. It'd be kind of cool if it was. But I don't know. Anybody got any thoughts on that? NPC versus PC players?
If it's NPCs, I'm probably going to fight.
Yeah, probably fight for NPCs.
Completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to be completely different.
They still can't figure out how not to stand on chairs and T poses, man. They ain't look.
Yeah.
I mean, Todd Pappy said that's one of the things that he's going to go ahead and work on along with the star map.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just a little bit. You just can't take the human element out of or try to compare that with an NPC.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are orgs out there that are phenomenal with how they structure, how they take over certain ships, or how they go out and try to go ahead and meet their goals. Yep. So it's just completely different than an NPC. It's just you're gonna have to treat them differently.
Agreed.
Okay. Can't pew pew all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Chanted Crow says the lore portrays cargo pilots, miners, and bounty hunters as the media stereotype, rough living, paycheck to paycheck working class. Your thoughts on this expectation versus the reality of players pursuing the meta for the fastest return on investment and activities? Yeah, I mean, I think that for, obviously the people who are really into that type of work, they'll probably fall into that civilian category of citizens and probably be into the whole industrial transport, those people who are really into doing that stuff. And like GoMap said earlier, there are some people, and I think Kelosal mentions, there's some people who just like doing that type of stuff. That's like the lifestyle that they want to do, is transporting and moving things back and forth. Before the show, we even talked about, GoMap alluded to the fact that for these bigger jobs like this, we can easily see these being contract jobs. These are jobs that you get a message that comes up saying that there's a job, whether it's from a mission giver, wherever it is, maybe one of the industrial places, someplace where where there's mining going on, where you go in and they say, hey, we've got 50,000 SCU of something that needs to be moved from this system to this system. And you take on those missions. And there's going to be a difference between taking on those type of missions that is somebody else's stuff versus when you're taking on something that's your stuff. That's going to also kind of really probably have a huge impact. I'm into mining and moving my own stuff. I'm probably going to have a certain attitude about my stuff because it's my pocket that those resources, if they get destroyed or lost, that's coming out of my pocket. If I'm doing transport for somebody else, I'm talking about more like a mission giver, then there's also going to be questions. What is the loss there? Is it just reputation? Do I lose the ability that not only is it reputation with that particular mission giver, but my public reputation is also being impacted? So now Love Machine says, hey, Griff, I'm looking at him. This guy's got a minus, a 2 stars out of 5. And, he's got this long mission log and evidently he's losing a lot of material. Is that impact going to be there as well, even if it's an NPC mission, and we know that we'll be able to rate each other when we do things in game too. So that's another factor involved in that. Anybody else got any thoughts on that? About the blue collar worker as a miner? Okay.
Well, I think, they're also, when you have the ability to give people access to your ships, there'll also be that the rank of people that own the ships but hire out the drivers or the pilots to actually say, hey, this is my whole D. I'm going to get the contracts. I need you to take the risk to fly, fly it. You don't need to. I'm risking my ship. You're risking your life. We both make money here. I mean, yeah. I'll probably, if I am going to do any kind of long haul freight running, it will either be with another player being the pilot, because I have family members that own multiple like big rig trucks, right? And they have drivers that they, dispatch across the country driving these trucks. So I see it the same way. So I would either hire a player to do it, or I would have an alt character that's what he does, or she does, or it does.
Okay,
be the trucker.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and start wrapping this together. I'm going to start with Love again. Love, give me any thoughts again, since we've talked about the whole DE. Anything that's popped up in your mind, something you learned, something you want to find more about, could care less about these ships. Anything you want to share about it, feel free.
They're interesting because I think their design's very interesting. Going through these materials, there's lots of cool sketches and cool concepting about the spindle, so they're certainly very neat. So I just think they are cool in that aspect. I don't think I'll see one that often, or I don't think I'll be piloting. I don't think anyone in our org has one. But lots of cool concepts there, and I would love to see the interior for I think still that the whole E with all of its jumping across systems would be a decent transport vehicle. So I'd like to see what their life support and stuff is in there. And to the people in chat that were arguing with me about picking the cubes up out of the water, shame on y'all. I'll just throw that out there. I couldn't let that go. Y'all really were like, oh, well, if it lands in the water, the cubes can float. No.
They all float down here.
No.
Wow. Okay. Fair enough. Colossal, what about you? Any closing thoughts in regard to these whole D and E? Anything you learned? Something you want to learn more about?
Well, I mean, other than hearing you guys and your fabulous points, until we can get more from CIG with what's really in those ships, other than the Q&As and things like that, we're gonna hold and reserve judgment, because those are some huge ships. And there are a lot of things that we have to factor in. We got 3.14 that's coming out right now with the capacitors and things like that that'll be coming out in the near future. We got a lot of multi-playing things that's coming out later on down the line. So it's going to be a lot of gameplay that we have yet to see that may come in prior or maybe around the same time when those ships come in. So, we do have a lot in our org over there with Test at Test Squadron. So I'm definitely going to be hopping in on those ships and helping test out, transport and get Test some money. But it's going to be interesting to see how I'm interested in the modulation of those ships. What do they have that people can do with those ships that can enhance on what they're trying to do? So we'll see when it comes out.
Okay. All right. Go, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a lot of speculation. We want to make sure that there's a logical path forward, I think, for this, right? If you look at all the capacities, the SCUs, what commodities mean right now, I just like anything, I think people are going to be given the option to do things that aren't smart if they want to, right? If you want to try to fill up a whole D with your own life savings and jump out into the verse and wish for the best without an escort, then best of luck to you. Yeah, have at it, but no, I do think that it is going to be a critical part of the economy, moving stuff around. I'm really excited and interested to see how if say I have a hull D or a hull E, how am I going to be able to offer my goods transport services? So that's to other people in the verse. How is that going to work? How are other people going to say, hey, look, I got a contract, you want to buy it, so on and so forth, to move my stuff. So outside of just selling the commodities, right? It's got to be some way, moving it versus selling it. I'm curious to see how they're going to do that.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, gang. We are going to get ready to do our raffle. We want you to type in exclamation Raylan if you are interested in a Gatak Raylan. Wow. Is it Pifaf I5 Pifafi? Thank you for the follow. Jad, thank you for that gift also as well that went out to Pops in Space. We hooked up Pops. If you guys are interested, exclamation point Raylan. Make sure you spell it correctly. RAILEN, !Raylan, if you are interested in the giveaway for a Raylan. And Judge Dredd, the Judge Dredd, thank you for the follow as well.
Thank you.
And yeah, we're going to do that. I've vacillated a little bit about this whole thing. I'm glad you guys have given some real good considerations of things to think about. Man, GomAB, I don't know why I missed it earlier. I didn't think about this, even though I knew it from before, but I completely forgot that these ships are capital class ships. And to your point, that's no small cheese to try to take one of these things. You know, a lot of times people have talked about it, but if you've got it souped up and, you know, pumped up and got the right shields and everything else on it, you better come the right way if you want to take on one of these behemoth ships, because they are not going to be easy tasks to take out. But we'll see. You know, Chris has talked about the fact that they don't want this game to be about destroying ships as much as it is about disabling and possibly even being able to take the ships from people. So I'm really curious to see how boarding parties work. You know, this whole breaching thing, I'm really curious to see where they go with that, particularly with ships like this, because obviously it's a nice haul to walk away with 98,000 SCU of something plus a ship. That's no small thing either. Absortio, thank you for the follow as well.
I'm curious to see, is there ever going to be a situation where somebody can just straight up jack you for your ship and take it and be like, this ship is mine now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Be devastated.
Like, this is my whole deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Be devastated.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like, I wonder if that's. I mean,
I know
I don't wonder
about
that
the ships.
because I don't think that's not going to be good, because no, I don't think that'd be possible.
I thought there was.
I think it could be with the tractor beams. I think it could be.
I thought that they talked about that there would be something like if the ship gets taken, it becomes. And somebody help me in chat if you guys remember this, because this has come up before. There was this thing about the ship would become marked as stolen. They had talked about you being able to do something with it to change the identity or the code on it or something. And then,
even if you can only use it in non-monitored spaces,
or you could only use it. You could only use it until you logged out. It was something weird that they talked about back in the day, and I've forgotten now. It's been so long since that subject came up. But there was issue about, obviously, if people have paid money for ships and they're supposed to get them back, that they wouldn't be able to be gone permanently.
Well, that's insurance, right? You know what I'm saying? Somebody steals my F-150.
Yeah, but
somebody steals my F-150, and they change the VIN number and they register and they send it to Mexico or somewhere. And that. Yeah,
because right now, if you steal somebody's ship, it just stays with you until they log out, and that's it. Yeah,
I'm gonna get a new truck, but that old truck is still out there somewhere.
If you steal Colosal's Idris and just keep people on it all the time, you'll be all right. You ain't got to worry about it.
No, you're not, because I'm gonna put a bounty on you. I'm gonna put a bounty on you on the ship, and the ship's gonna have a name on it. By the way, the ship's name is gonna be GomabATL, which is GomabATL, which is get on my ship and I'm gonna blow it up. So have fun, get on Colossal ship. If you see the name Colossal out there, you better look the other way, because I am gonna blow the ship up.
Oh God! All right, here we go. Krutha Soleus says, "I believe they said that you would have to jump through many hoops to claim a ship as yours. Yeah, it will be very difficult and expensive. That's very true. Thank you for that. Thank you.
I'm gonna do it. I want to do it one time. I just want to take somebody's 890 and be like, and then blow it up in front of them."
Oh God. Okay. All right. Listen, !Raylan. We're going to go ahead and do this raffle in like 5 seconds because we're getting crazy. Thank you guys so much for helping us with our subscription goal. We were at 65 out of 100. That's good, guys. Thank you all so much for that. We were off last week for Father's Day. By the way, we're also going to be off next week too, because it's going to be in the States. It's going to be Independence Day, so we won't be meeting next week. But let's get on this thing with the Raylan real quick. Let's see, where are we? Who was that who just said? Nighthawk, thank you for the follow as well. We appreciate that. All right, gang, here we go. Let me see, is the sound effects working? That's the wrong sound effect. That didn't work. Y'all hearing that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the wrong one. All right. There it is. All right, 3, 2, 1, boom. This thing has been doing some really crazy stuff tonight. I've been having issues. It's like a real
Fast Card. Congratulations, Fast Card.
Yeah, right. Look who wins. Oh my God. Look who won.
Oh wow.
Shipwreck. All right.
Nice.
Congratulations,
Shipwreck.
Shipwreck.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Shipwreck, are you out there or did you leave? I don't know if Shipwreck is still here. Oh, there's Shipwreck. Oh, look at the faces. Oh God, Shipwreck threw up the faces. Thank you, Shipwreck. Well, congratulations. You have won the Gatak Raylan for today. Shipwreck, send us your RSI name and RSI email. Send it to soulcitizens@gmail.com, soulcitizens@gmail.com, or you can send it to me via the old DM in Twitch, and we will get that out to you. And you have something to look forward to. It's still being developed, but when it's ready, you'll get it. So that'll be awesome. Congratulations.
Fly it with friends because it has no pilot control guns.
Well, I'm sure that just made him feel real good about winning that ship just now. That's
No,
great.
it's a beautiful ship and it's fast, so you can
You
just
just got
keep
a scratch wall. You got to stay exfoliated.
I
Great.
know. I was gonna, I forgot to bring up the graphic for that ship. It is a beautiful ship. But this is the thing I really want to show you guys. Look at that. Those are the measurements that it comes out to when you use it in Fleet View. It is not small. It is very tall ship. And that's sitting next to a Taurus and a C2 and a Cat. It is a pretty decent sized ship. I think it's a crew of 4, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent sized vessel, as you would say. So that's something else to think about for those of you who are into it. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today. Table of Horror, Shiver, so good to see you. Thank you for stopping by today. All of the new folks who signed up today and followed us, we appreciate you all. Fastcart asked the last question and says, if they enter the raffle, if any of us enter the raffle, could they get the ship? No, Fastcart, you cannot get the ship. No, you can't. Beta Pug, thank you for the follow as well. Let's see who we are going to set up for our raid. Kelosal, could you read that card while I'm looking up the raid information here of our show? Our card on the screen there. And this is for 2 weeks, not next week, because next week we're gone because of the holiday. That's the following week.
Okay, so the following week, looks like July 11th.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like July 11th, Soul Citizens will be presenting a No Place Like Home special.
Mm-hmm.
So you can follow us on twitch.tv/Soul Citizens and enjoy the show. We would love for you to go ahead and attend. Remember, it is July 11th, not next week, but July 11th. The show will be on No Place Like Home.
You know what that show's going to be about, gang? Anybody have an idea what that show's going to be about?
Abs.
Yeah, the Outpost, right?
Yeah, it's going to be where do you want to live? Where and why? Where do you want to live? And listen, we're really excited about this whole thing of possibly Orison and whatnot, right? So, will you want to live on your ship? Will you want to live
on my Endeavor?
New Babbage?
On the Endeavor.
On the Endeavor, yeah. Do you want to live in a little little hovel out there that you get your Pioneer to build? We're going to talk about why and where and the pros and cons and all that good stuff. So some people don't want to live where they got to get on a train every day to get to their ship. That's another factor too. So we'll see.
I just can't wait till I can log out on somebody's persistent ship and log in and still be there.
Well, you know what? I'm not to be funny, but you know what I started doing, dude? I literally log out the tallest building in R Corp. I park on that building and log in and out of the game all the time.
I'm not talking about my ship.
No.
I'm talking about somebody else's ship.
Right, no, I get it. You're saying somebody else's ship, but my issue is that to avoid having to get on the trains and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting, as soon as I log in, I'm in my ship and I take off. I don't deal with any of that train running back and forth stuff anymore. I've just started doing that now. And sometimes I'll even stay in the Phoenix. I'll park outside of a base orbiting, and I'll just get out of my Phoenix and go there and go to sleep. And you wake up and you're in your ship already. Saves you time. Just something to think about. Something to think about. Anyway, all right. Listen, let's get this raid going. We are going to raid Princess Jasmine. Princess Jasmine has 1 viewer. And you all can say hi and all that other good stuff. And if Princess Jasmine interests you, is it in mature audiences? Make sure you're over 21 if you guys go over there. I don't know what Princess Jasmine's doing over there, but make sure you all say hi to Princess Jasmine and let them know that you came from the Soul Citizens. Thank you guys so much for being here with us again. We missed you guys last week. We're going to miss you guys next week, but you can show up on Thursday for Soul Talk. Fast Card and the rest of us will be here on Thursday. And then after that, we will be back the week after as Kelosal said, on July 11th. So thanks, guys. Take care of yourselves. As always, stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Peace, love, and soul. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.